Hi guys, and welcome back to my garage. Here's my big 3 tmax. Now, let me kind of clear up the deal on this bike. The deal is that we were given this bike, me and Jake, on condition that we use the funds of this bike, not all of them, the guy wants us to have some profit, but we used this as collateral to rebuild his ZL 600. Okay, he's got this old ZL C-Reg it is. Yeah, so that was the deal on this bike. So it's not just, you know, technically completely a free bike. We polished it up nicely yesterday. A couple of you mentioned the rear wheel. The tyre was fully flat. It probably is a little bit buckled, but the other thing is I cleaned it up a lot yesterday. It's got a lot of oxidation on it, so it needs a lot of cleaning up. But if this fires up now, guys, we'll have a quick look at the back wheel, see how bad it is, and more importantly, we'll drive it down to my little jet wash and we'll get it cleaned up a bit, okay? Because it just needs a bit of cleaning up properly. Like look down in there, you just can't get into there with your hands, and then there's spiders webs everywhere, so you just got to get into nooks and crannies now with some jet water. And then the other thing it needs is we need this bottom left panel here, so belly pan. So I don't know if that comes as a belly pan. If I'm being honest, I'm not too worried about that on its own, but we need this panel on the other side here, there, and I wasn't quite sure what it looked like, so it's kind of that shape, because I was on eBay looking for the panel, so I weren't sure what. Alright, so it's kind of that shape. I've got that in my head now. The belly pan, like I said, I'm not too fussed about because it's quite far down. After looking at the actual mileage and stuff of this bike, after a good test run, it's probably a £1,500 bike, and it'll be worth every penny, if of course it's running properly. I'd be surprised if it hasn't had some sort of engine work done. I haven't got any history at all, but we don't know. We don't know if it's had replacement engines. We don't know what kind of work it's had done. We don't know any of that, so we'll look into it. Now, we don't know if this battery is good enough. We don't know if this is going to start up today, but let me see if I can get it started and warm, and if I can, I'll throw my helmet on and we'll take it down to the jet wash. I know that this bike was kind of looked after and serviced at the time. It's been sitting since. Anyway, I'm going to get this down to the I'm not going to film this, guys. I'm going to jet wash it first, then I'll give it a little test run. I'm just going to run it down to the jet wash for now with my helmet on. So we'll catch you guys in a minute. Okay guys, so I gave it a bit of a test run there. It ran absolutely perfectly, and it, bloody hell, they do pull very strong. Okay guys, so just back from that test run. Rode very well. I think the earlier light that flashed up was about the speedo. That was working on that test run. I reckon that was to do with the battery. It's not the best battery, and when you try and turn it over a few times in the morning to get it started, it runs the battery quite low. It's a real tough one, guys, because I'm torn between really polishing this turd up and not, and just selling it at a reasonable price because of the mileage. But I know bikes, guys, and if this hasn't had a rebuilt engine or a replacement engine, I would eat my hat, because that's pulling super strong, absolutely really strong. But of course you could never sell it without the proof, and I don't have the proof. I am going to ask the last owner if he knows, or if it was even ever mentioned, because that will be a start. From here, I'm going to do some kind of small bits of cleaning up, like side stand and rear stand, just because the rust just lets them down. It's a very quick, easy fix. And excuse me, the wheels need a bit of cleaning, but nothing major. I think someone was right. They said there was some sort of low spot. I think I saw a low spot here, slightly out of line there. So I'm going to gently tap that back in place. It's not out of line enough for me to worry about tapping it back in place. That's exactly what mechanics would do. If it was more than that, but to be fair, guys, this wouldn't be holding air. So I am going to tap that back into place a little bit, and then I'm going to do a tiny bit of cleaning up. So like just this bracket here, just a tiny bit of cleaning up. With a wire brush, that's all, nothing hugely major. I'll put some sort of coating on it. I'll get it, look, all the webs, I did ages on the jet wash and there's still loads of webs. I'll put some kind of back to black on these panels here. I still need to bleed the rear brakes. I'm going to do that first actually, and then at some point, probably next week, this will be for sale. I've got 14 in mind, 1400 quick sale. I'd love to know if it has had some sort of rebuild or replacement engine. I will ask the last owner just in case, but this will be 1400 to take it away. To be fair, guys, you can buy 50cc's 125s for that price. So massive, perfect running tmax 500 for £1,400 would be, an absolute bargain. Okay guys, so I've done a bit of cleaning up on the metalwork of the tmax. I've done a bit of cleaning up on the Tempest, just some basic wiping down. The DNA's out just because it might as well be out in the fresh air. Remember, paint takes days to cure, so it will still be curing. I need to take these two panels off as well. And here's the first rear panel for the DNA. Now, I had a good chat with Nat the other day, because I still am no good at painting. Now, I've sanded this down and it's clean, but I still wouldn't be able to tell you basically if it's ready for primer or what. So I think Nat said he's going to do a more in-depth video next time, so that people can basically follow his step-by-step guide to painting, and that, I think that'll be a really popular video if he does that. So this for me is sanded down and it's fairly smooth. Now I think the filler primer is what shows me how bad it is underneath. So I think you spray a layer of that on, maybe 2 or 3 thin coats, and then you look for imperfections, and then I think you work with sandpaper that area until you get that area smooth. That's my take on things. So I'm going to put some coats down. It's a bit windy, but it will be fine. My ideal today would be to get all of the black laid, the undercoat black, as in the base matte black laid for the DNA. Then we're going to have a sticker set turn up by the weekend. If that turns up, I can throw some lacquer on the weekend, and then that bike's close to going home, really, which is great for everyone involved, because Amanda gets her bike back. So I'm going to lay down a couple of light coats on here and see if what I think should happen does. Very windy. So don't worry too much about the consistency at this stage. This is just a tack coat. I'm going to build them up in 3 coats and then look at the imperfections. The 3rd coat will probably be quite a thick coat. So guys, this has dried a bit. Now, I think if I'd sprayed any colour, I think that's how it would have come out. So I think it showed us the imperfections. I believe I'm going to wet and dry them areas. Maybe then use the coat again until they all don't look like this. I think that's the key. Like that to me, if that looks like that now with the filler primer, then surely I need to sand it down and do more. That's kind of my plan I'm going to see. So this is how it looks now, guys. That's how you see it. Let's see if I can get it a bit smoother. Alright guys, we've got Gary here. Now this week, guys, for me, these 2 weeks is going to be a getting rid of crap. So, for that reason, Jake's not here today. I want Jake's SH125 to go. That has to go. I'd like to get this. What we're doing is we're trying a Chinese carb on this now with the fresh boot, fresh oil, and all of that. And we're going to start breaking down the DNA soon. That's going to be parts, because it's worth more in parts than it is in a bike. We've got no logbook for it. It's a pain in the arse. We're going to sell that for parts. So if we can get this if for any reason this Typhoon starts up and runs and rides and idles and stuff, then that's a result. But I still need to apply for the logbook and do the rest of the work. The engine mounts are shot on this. The engine has loads of movement, so that's something that I'd need doing. It's a hell of a lot of work, but let's start with getting the engine up and running and riding. That'll be kind of a nice step. What am I working on? I'm trying to bleed the rear brake on this tmax. It's just not having it for me. That would lead me to believe that, I don't know, maybe there's a pinhole in the system somewhere. Now I've just driven in to get the car for the battery, and I'm like, bloody hell, look at all these bikes. And that's not all of them. There's one over there, there's one in the garage, there's one over there. Crazy. Right, we got a Chinese carb on the Typhoon. We're going to hook up the battery and see if it fires up and runs and revs properly. Alright guys, so we got the fuel in, we've got the camera on, we've got a Chinese carb. Gary, you can fire this one up, mate. Mate, I'm getting all my words wrong recently. Ooh. Yep, got it. Exactly what he did last time with the other carb, didn't it? My guess is this needs an engine rebuild. I mean, we can keep, yeah, we can keep playing with it, but ultimately, like, I think we'll get it kind of started, but then what? Go on in. Yeah, even if it starts, that engine is shot. I think you can kind of hear it. It's very heavy. Um, it also sounds to me like it's not necessarily a top end rebuild. Maybe a whole engine. That's it. Alright. How long was we doing that for? 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Interesting one, guys. It's doing exactly the same thing with a decent brand new Chinese carb than it was with its carb. That would take away carb issues for me. Could have valve issues. Could have valve issues, as in the valves aren't adjusted. That's. It sounds to me like the engine's bad. There's a lot of noises in that engine. And again, last week we got it fired up, but it just didn't really do what it needed to do, did it? It did idle for a while. It idled for quite a while. For me, I'd quite like to get the head off, and I may take the head off and then we'll see the valves, just check, maybe double check the valve clearances, but yeah, there isn't any. There's no, I doubt it. Okay guys, we're just discussing things. I was looking at the engine in there. Compression test. For some reason, a couple of you have fetishes on compression tests. No names, Daniel. But I'm going to throw a compression test on there and we'll pump it up until it bursts its load. We're just going over all the bikes. The DNA's done, guys. It's a parts bike. Phenomenal. And that's not a parts bike. That's a runner rider ready to go at some point. That's a good bike if I can get the rear brake bled. At the moment it's causing me problems, and this will have done by the end of the week. So compression test, let's get hooked up. Okay guys, compression test, we've kind of got it working, I think. So like 110 there, guy. Wow, 110, 115? That seems like high enough to me. I found the 10 when he's looking for a garage in the engine. Actually it's an 8. That seems high enough for me. That's weird. So where do we go from there? I need to Google what kind of compression this bike should have. 110 seems okay-ish. I don't want to break the engine down unnecessarily. Okay guys, so the compression should be 155, so it is low. That's good to know. At least we know now that it probably needs a top end rebuild. If we're being really honest guys, one piston isn't a huge issue, is it? We can buy a piston and some new rings and chuck it on and try that. Considering it kind of fired up after a long time of building up pressure, that kind of does lead me to believe that that is what it needs. It needs a new piston and rings, or them ones loosening or something. So we'll get in there probably tomorrow, and we'll get working on that. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to have to do Amanda's panels. These, I mean, it's driving me nuts. I don't know what, look, the primer dries like that. It's adding more problems than before. All the cracks, look, this is like the 3rd timer. So I think I'm going to let them dry overnight, sand them down, and then I think I'm not going to use that primer on the other panels because there's some sort of weird reaction there, and I didn't add any chemicals or anything to this today. I just cleaned it and put that on. So that's driving me nuts. I mean, it's a nice effect, guys. If you wanted that colour and that crackle effect, it's lovely. If that came in red and black, that'd be spot on, but we want black. So I think I'm going to chuck the blacks on tomorrow so that we're ready for stickers and overcoat, and it's just going to be as good as we can get it, basically. Alright guys, I've been sitting here debating this rear brake. I think I've solved it. Now remember, I said yesterday that it is not compressed in the piston, it is twisted in. I think I've twisted it in too far, so I don't think this system adjusts itself, if that makes sense. I could be completely wrong here. I think I have to pull out the piston by screwing it out a touch, and then you kind of adjust it from there. I bet I'm right, because at the moment it does brake the rear wheel fully in, but it's not putting the pressure on. But I know that there's no air in this system, so I think I'm right. Handbrake definitely works there. Off, back on, spinning. So I think I'm definitely right there. But I'm going to give that a shot tomorrow, so we've got a rear brake on this thing. And that's kind of it for today, really. Not loads to do, I guess. This engine needs breaking down tomorrow. We'll have a look at the piston. Tempest parts are on their way. I don't know what to do with that 50 anymore. The Gilera's in the right direction, and Gary's going to take the tmax out for a quick spin. This will probably be the biggest bike he's ridden, guys, so that will be interesting. Okay guys, wrapping up for today, we say goodbye to Gary. He loves the Tempest and he enjoyed the ride on the tmax. I hope my brake idea works tomorrow. It'll be the first time I've worked with brakes where you adjust them, but I could be completely wrong. Engine on that, we'll start pulling that down at some point. The Gilera's just kind of getting on with things and looking good. I was disappointed with how that high build went today. I wonder if Nat or Nick, you can let me know if that is quite normal or wrong, or if there was some sort of reaction there. But I think I'm just going to lay down smooth down with sandpaper and lay the black bottom coat, then stickers, then lacquer the top. Keep it simple, and this bike will be good to go at some point. As always guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the bikes, what you would do with them. I love the Tempest, I can't wait to get the parts, and have a nice evening.